Before we get started, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram if you feel like doing that sort of thing. So when I googled Sorry to Bother You screenplay to find out who had written the screenplay, what I found was that director Boots Riley had actually written and published the screenplay in 2014. You've been able to buy the screenplay in published format since then. Well, apparently he got to make his movie, and here we go. The trailer for Sorry to Bother You got me excited for what looked like a smart and funny comedy, possibly with some darkness and depth, given that the trailer already has something to say about race. Well, that's the movie that the filmmakers want you to think you're going to see when you pay for your ticket. It's a slightly different genre than that, and hopefully you don't think that that's a spoiler. Sorry to Bother You stars Lakeith Stanfield, Tessa Thompson, Armie Hammer, and Stephen Yeun. It follows human pun Cassius Green as he scores a job at a telemarketing firm and finds out that he's very good at it. The company wants to promote him and promote him further, and as they do, they alienate him from his friends and his fiancée, Detroit, played by Tessa Thompson, who takes serious moral issue with the company's practices. Goodreads describes the printed screenplay as a magical realism story inspired by Riley's time spent working as a telemarketer. It actually takes place in a slightly alternate, slightly surreal, near-distant future, with some technologies and ideas that aren't existing yet in our world. The vision for this movie is strong and well executed, as is often the case for films that were written by the director or directed by the writer. Boots has a lot to say, and he packs it all in there, sometimes elegantly, and sometimes he hits you over the head with it. In its 1 hour and 45-minute runtime, Sorry to Bother You talks about race, capitalism, classism, and a whole bunch of other isms. And you're unlikely to agree with everything it has to say, as it says so damn much. I was pleased with how it presented its points, though, in that whether or not I agreed with them, it did get me thinking. Well, actually, it didn't always get me thinking, because some of the times I was still trying to process the last point the movie made when it dumps another socioeconomic theory in my lap. That's not to say the movie's badly paced, that's more about me and how when I watch movies, I tend to try to digest things too quickly. Too often I try to pick up on all the implications in the first viewing. This is definitely a multi-watch film if you want to pick up on everything. Again, the pacing's not bad, the pacing's actually a big positive in the movie. It moves between locations and scenes really well and fluidly, and every location and set that it visits is pretty unique and interesting and has a lot to look at. The casting was also really well done. Lakeith Stanfield and Tessa Thompson both do their weird and complicated characters really well, and particularly surprising to me was Armie Hammer, who was actually awesome as a messed up frat boy CEO villain. I've always seen him as such a vanilla, handsome white guy. Like, for me, the Winklevoss twins are peak Armie Hammer. His role in Sorry to Bother You was a lot more than I've seen from him before. I should probably mention whether or not this movie is funny, given that a lot of people are going to go see it thinking they're going to go see a comedy. It has its moments. It's funny whenever it tries to be, which is the whole first half of the movie, with almost no jokes in the last half of the movie. But I really enjoyed the second half of the movie. It launches off in a totally new, weird direction, and it gave me something different than what I expected, and I liked that. Its vision and its political statements are two things that you're either going to really like or not. And I can't say too much about this movie without venturing into spoilery territory. But really, so much of it comes from its strong political beliefs. And I will say that I was a little unhappy with aspects of how it presents some of those beliefs. I'm being deliberately vague because, again, spoilers, but I would have liked to see more of certain groups represented and to actually hear from them, just so that I can know that Boots Riley understands all sides of the arguments that he's making. But it's cool to be given a film that's smart enough that I think the director actually might understand all the sides. I just want to see it in the film that he does. Boots Riley presents so many of his arguments so well, I want to know if it's possible that some scenes maybe got left on the editing room floor, or if he really is just unaware of some of the sides of the argument that I thought of while watching it. I don't think it's the case that he's unaware because, again, this movie is smart, but I need a little more time to digest it and maybe even another viewing before I go around calling it really smart. Either way, I enjoyed it, and I really enjoy it when movies surprise me. So I give Sorry to Bother You 4 stars. I wish I had more to say about the movie, and I do have a lot more to say about the movie, but so much of it would venture into spoiler territory because spoilers. This movie's just so weird and so different than it's marketed as that I don't want to give anything more away. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram if you feel like doing that sort of thing. And remember, don't get high on drugs or alcohol. Get high on movies. Stay Sorry to bother you, Mr. Langston. This is Daniel Fiala with Regal View here. Damn it, another hang-up.
Hey, let me give you a tip, young bud. You want to make some real money here? Use your white voice.
My white voice? Dude, people say I sound white already. They make fun of me for it. What's it gonna do?
No, not like what white people actually sound like what they think they should sound like. Like all the bills are already paid. Like they haven't got a care in the world.
All right. I'll give it a shot. Sorry to bother you, Mr. Mackley. This is Daniel Fiala with Regal View here, and I was just wondering it. Cha-ching! I already got a sale. Great tip, Danny Glover.
I'm too old for this shit.
Hey, you said that in Lethal Weapon.
No, in Lethal Weapon I said I'm getting too old for this shit.
Aha! And now you are too old for this shit.
Exactly.
That's a pretty good callback. That's a good callback to when you were in Lethal Weapon, because you said it in Lethal Weapon, and now you're calling back to it in this movie. You know, because you're famous for that movie, so that would be a good movie for you to call back to in this one. Definitely got to get you saying that line in this movie. What are we gonna do? Have a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it and not have him say "I'll be back"? No, we're not gonna. We're screenwriters. We're making a movie. This is art.